Okay, so we are talking about Shabbos. Shabbos is a core value. We all understand that Shabbos is a core value of Judaism, right? You can't take Shabbos out of Judaism. No one's ever tried to, actually. Not Reform, not conservative, no one. So, everyone knows that Shabbos, you just say the words. One of the core values of Judaism is Shabbos. Everyone would agree. The question is, does it apply to the rest of the week? To what degree does Shabbos inform our lives the rest of the week? Now, on a very simple level, very basic level, the Sforno says, you should remember the Shabbos to sanctify it, means that you should arrange your week that you keep Shabbos. So when you're making meetings, when you're thinking about traveling, you need to, as someone that's Shomer Shabbos, I am Shomer Shabbos, I know that it takes a lot of effort to, not effort, but constantly, whenever I'm traveling, whenever we're arranging our life, Shabbos is in our minds. But I think there's something more. I think actually this year will reveal that Shabbos is a core value all the time. Every moment of our life. There's never a moment we can go without Shabbos. And okay, what is the core value? So starting from the core value, we said it's a day to rejuvenate, right? It's a day to remember what's important. We stop changing and manipulating the world in order to remember why we ever change and manipulate the world, right? That's what Shabbos is, right? God created the world in 6 days, and then he finished creating. He finished his job, and then he gave the rest up to us. So we are, very busy changing and manipulating the world, but we take a day to stop and remember, wait, why are we doing this? Shabbos has a lot of themes in it. We know that we remember what's important, right? The Friday night, we remember Bereshit, we remember that the creation. What does that mean? God, it says in the Dibrot, right? Keep the Shabbos, ki sheishis yomim asa Hashem. Shabbos always has this connotation that there's a creator. God created the world. Beyond that, in the second Dibrot, in Deuteronomy, it says, you keep the Shabbos. Why? Because Hashem took you out of Egypt. And that, in fact, we say in the Kiddush as well. Zeichel Yetzias Mitzrayim. Why do we mention Egypt? What's Egypt got to do with Shabbos? Shabbos came at the beginning of creation, the way before Egypt. So the Ramban, beautiful Ramban, says, because the slave can't choose to rest. The slave can't choose which day to work. You're enslaved. You don't belong to yourself. So in order to remember freedom, one of the preconditions for keeping Shabbos is that you're a free person, right? Probably one of the biggest reasons why many Jews that came to America who used to keep Shabbat stopped keeping Shabbat was because you couldn't get a job, right? If you didn't work Saturday, you lost your job when you came in on Sunday or Monday. Because people worked Saturday, they rested on Sunday in this country. So you're only free, Shabbos is, okay. Together with that, in our prayers, we mention Matan Torah. We mention Yismach Moshe b'Matnas Torah. All right, in the Shachris prayer, Moshe was happy with his portion, and he brought down the tablets. Leaving Egypt and giving of the Torah go together. They go together. As Sforno also says, well, of course, the Tachlis, the whole purpose of leaving Egypt was in order to get to Sinai, in order to become God's people, right? He gave us freedom. Why? Because he wanted us to be free to become his people for the rest of history. And then on the Mincha service, the afternoon service on Shabbos, we mention Ata Echad v'Shimcha Echad. You're one and your name's one. Who's like you? Who's like this one nation, the Jewish people in the land of Israel, of course. Adam. So when will that be? When will we be one people in the land? Of course, when Mashiach comes, right? That's one of the promises that God has made to us, through his prophets, that he eventually, the Jewish people will be redeemed, will be gathered from the four corners of the earth, and will all come back to Israel. And Adam is preparing the apartments and everything for us as we speak. Okay, so good. So if I would try to encapsulate all of those ideas, is Shabbos is a day to get a clear picture about what life is about. We stop and we reconnect with really what is life about. We take one day a week, every 7 days. Amazing. You can't go 7 days without stopping and thinking why we live. Now, when we think about it as a Mida, what character trait does it correspond to within us? Character traits are the parts of our personality that we use to interact with this world. Right? You're happy, you interact with the world in a happy way. You're mad, you interact in the world in a mad way. You're lazy, you interact in the world in a very lazy way. It's how you relate to the world. So what does Shabbos teach us about how we should relate to the world? Which Mida, which character trait does it call to? And I think the answer is obvious. It's speaking to something called menucha. Menucha literally means rest. Menucha means something that's come to a stop. It's still. That's what we sing on Shalosh Shudas, right? Al mei menuchot yan Al mei menuchis yan leini, right? No, he leads me. Yancheni. I don't know why I wrote it with a hey over here. Yancheni, right?
It's Yanachaleini.
Huh?
Yanachaleini. Al mei menuchas Yanachaleini.
Oh, Yanachalal. Yeah, very good. Yanachaleini. Al mei menuchas Yanachaleini.
That's a different song.
So, what's mei menuchas? Mei menuchas are the calm waters. We say about God, God, you lead me past the calm waters. There's nothing, we actually have a very nice quarry, an old quarry up the road from us, which is filled in with water. And there's nothing nicer than walking around the quarry on a beautiful day, and the water is just calm. It's calming. Something about that calmness. The opposite of menucha is pizur, spread out, right? Things spread thin all over the place. Someone with no common thread, right? That's the opposite. So we want to try find, and this is what Shabbos can teach. This is what we practice on Shabbos, and what Shabbos can teach us for the rest of our lives. People are called Shomei Shabbat. People are identified with Shabbat. That's interesting. Why? Just because I do this every 7 days, I'm now a Shomei Shabbat. I'm a Shabbos Yid. No. It's because Shabbos should inculcate into us, should teach us, should yanchileni nachalal. It should bequeath to us. It should inherit to us menucha, to be calm, to be settled, not pizza. Now, obviously the challenge with being calm and settled is you need to be alive as well, right? Dead people are very calm, right? The dead of the night, right? Dead people. The Alter of Kelm said a beautiful thing. He said, "What's the definition of yush? Yush is a Hebrew word which means giving up hope." So he said, it's the sound the trees in the cemetery make. What did he mean? There's a calmness. You go to a cemetery, there's a calmness. The dead are calm. But they're dead. They're not alive, right? People can be living, people can be walking around, but they're giving up hope on life. In order to find that calm, they are dead. That's not the point. The point is to live with calm, but yet be fully alive, to be fully alive. So that is that's a challenge. What does that mean? So it really means, that we achieve a place in ourselves that never changes. We find a place in ourselves which is at rest. We find that das, right? We find it's called in Hebrew das, dat. Now, if you're following the Ten Commandments, it's very clear. The first bracha, the first blessing of the Shemona Esrei, we mentioned Avraham, Magen Avraham. Why? Right? At Gomel, we recognize God, and we recognize that God does Chesed, Gomel Chasedim Tovim V'Kanei Hakol. That's what God does. That's Abraham Avinu. That's Anichi Hashem Elokecha. That's right. That's the first commandment. The second bracha of the Shemona Esrei is Atagibo V'Shim, right? And that's Keneged Yitzchak, which is no avodah zara, right? Yitzchak is avodah. He's serving Hashem, and that's also recognizing that Hashem is the only provider. We don't have to. Why should you go anywhere else? It's stupid to go anywhere else. God's the only provider. All your needs, all your wants are only provided by God. Serving any other God is looking for that fulfillment from somewhere else. The third bracha, Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, is Kedusha. Lo sisa, do not take Hashem's name, which is holy, Kadosh, in vain. The fourth bracha is Ata Noisen Adam, Ata Chonen Adam Das. You give man das. Das is our inner intelligence. Das is where we are with ourselves. It's our conscious intelligence. And that's where we mention Shabbos. Now, where do we mention Shabbos there on Motzi Shabbos when we say Havdalah, right? When we include the Havdalah prayer into our prayers, we put it there in Das. And also it's interesting to note that the fourth bracha on Shabbos is always Shabbos, right? So it's always that fourth level, that's where we are. Das means that you know who you are and what you're living for. You have clarity of self and clarity of purpose. If Shabbos is about remembering what's really important, so then taking that with you through the week, living with Das is living with Shabbos. Taking that clarity of the world, that clarity of self, that clarity of purpose, that is calm. That has to be the place of calm within each one of us. And that's where Shabbos as a Mida is relevant as a core value every moment of the day. Right? We can't leave that. You live with that. You wake up with that, you go to sleep with that. We live with that. This inner intelligence tells us that, when Shabbos comes in, you should make Kiddush. When Shabbos goes out, you need to do an act to signify, to change, to transition between the week and Shabbos, between Shabbos and the week. So Shabbos is called Shabbos Malchusa, the Shabbos Queen, and that's because the Mida, the Kabbalistic Mida of Shabbos is Malchus. Malchus means kingship, right? A king, and that's the Mida within us, right? That's really what Menucha, right? The ultimate Menucha of the world, the resting place of this world is when the Mashiach comes, when the king of the Messiah, the king comes. That's when the world comes to a rest. Shabbos is Ma'in Olam Haba. Shabbos is like the world to come. Malchus means control. You have to be in control of yourself. That's what a king is. The king is the person in control of the country, right? That's the king, full control. We need part of being a calm, focused person, being able to have that part of you is that you actually live with that. That no one can take you off your das. No one can take you off that place where you are with yourself, you know who you are, and you know what your purpose is. So when someone says a comment, when someone does something, nothing can sway you. You are calm. You have Shabbos with you. Talmud Chacham, a Torah student, is called Shabbos. Why? Clarity. Talmud Chacham has clarity. Living with clarity. Now, it's a beautiful share. I like it myself. We got a problem. We live in a world that absolutely destroys everything I'm talking about. The very fact that we are having this conversation on Zoom and I had to send a text message to you and you had to look at your phone and then you had to go onto your computer and to start it off and then we had to look who's on the screen and then we see who's chatting and we see Adam's clapping and Adam's putting his finger up and then the phone rings and then, right? We live in a world where it's impossible.
You're gone dead.
Right?
Okay.
We live in a world
Back.
that it's impossible to be calm. Right? You know, go back 150 years. You're living in a little shtetl. There's no internet. There are no phones. There's mail. A letter comes once a week. The postman comes with the mail. Now and again, you know, you hear some news because someone comes into town. Just, you know, okay, it's a long way back, but remember the put yourself back into that time and try to feel how calm people must have been. You woke up in the morning, all there was you, the coffee, and the birds tweeting. You didn't have a phone. You didn't run to a phone with 1,000 emails and 17 WhatsApp messages and, you know, having to do carpool and our world is crazy. Now, obviously there's some purpose to that. The big question is, how do we find calm in our world? How can we keep that place where we know who we are, we know why we're living, and we're dedicated to that 100%? How can we not have, it's called tiruf HaDaat, a treifa. We know we speak about kosher food, glut and treif, right? Why is it called treif? Is because the lungs of a treif animal are torn, right? They've been torn apart by an animal, by a predator. Tiruf HaDaat means your place of where you are with yourself, that settled place, that sanctuary inside has been torn apart, right? Everyone's got a hook in there, be it Google, be it Facebook, be it Netflix, be it, you know, or be it WhatsApp, right? Be it the mail, be it the carpool, right? Everyone's got a hook and they're all pulling, right? And what's left of us? Shmatas. So this is, I think I have a bit of an insight into this. And that is, who's doing a million things and is settled? A juggler. A juggler. Have you ever watched a person that knows how to juggle? They don't look frenetic, right? By the way, frenetic is the word from my friend Avram Beard, gave me this word, frenetic. Our generation is frenetic. Dictionary definition, energetic in an uncontrolled way, right? We are frenetic. So, right, choppy waters versus calm flow, right? How can we deal with this? Just by the way, it's not such a new thing, right? Nothing new under the sun. The Gemara says the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is similar to a zvuv, a fly. Why? Because what does a fly do? You're trying to concentrate and disturbs you, right? Or the fly itself. If you ever watch the fly, it seems to fly around in a very haphazard way. Has no, you know, doesn't focus. It's not a, stealthily walk up to its prey. No, that's the Yetzer Hara. That's the evil inclination. So we need to learn from the juggler, right? What does a juggler do? So a juggler, he's juggling a lot of balls. We are all jugglers, right? Most of us, our balls are falling all over the place and it's a big mess and no one's really impressed. But what can we learn? What can we learn from a juggler? If you ever watched a really good juggler, they are completely focused and not uptight at all. They're very calm and they don't even watch the balls, right? Their vision seems to go through the balls, right? Their vision is on something. Maybe I haven't had time to research it enough, and if anyone else wants to help me with the research, that would be great. I found a few things, right? The juggler, number one, has one task at a time. And most of what I saw was that the juggler has, what's his task? To keep the ball to catch the ball that's about to fall, right? So I'm not sure that should be our guiding principle in all the things that are pulling us, but sometimes it is, you know? Sometimes you just got to catch the ball that's about to fall. And that's all you do. You know you're juggling. To me, it's an amazing thing. It helps me to think I'm a juggler. I'm juggling, right? I wouldn't have thought of myself as a juggler, but I am. We're all jugglers. We live in this world. So one task at a time. If you try to multitask, if you try to do two things at the same time, you will fail. The balls will drop. Okay? Which one to choose? You know, some people like to get the little things out of the way. Some people, that's what I prefer to do. Focus on the major things. What are the three most important things for me today? That's my focus. The rest, I try to, those are the things that are going to, I'm going to try to fit in. But my day is focused, right? If I have to write the class, I have to fundraise, I have to, have a meeting that I need to be involved in and prepare for. Those are my three things. Then the rest, okay, I've got to deal with the school, I've got to deal with the construction, and I've got to deal with this and that. Fine, I'll deal with it. But focus on at any time, know what you are focusing on. The second thing is, jugglers take time to set a rhythm. It's a rhythm, there's timing there. We have to find rhythm in our life. We have to know that, we wake up in the morning and we start to go, and it could be that the first thing we do in the morning is we look over our day and we think about, have a few minutes, maybe at the beginning of the day, just to think about, look at your calendar, look at your, whatever your to-do list, however you work, or you have it mentally, and think about your day and say, okay, we've got all these things to do, and get yourself into the rhythm. Just by the way, one of the juggling instructors I watched on YouTube said, soften your gaze, right? If you become too intent, we feel this tiruf because it's a balance, right? If you become too intent on one thing, so then you miss the other things. We don't have the luxury of becoming too intent, right? That's why I think people love yoga, people love working out, people love riding, people love all these things which call for intense concentration, because then we forget about everything else. This juggling feeling that we all have is we lose it, and that gives us a sense of well-being, back to who we are, but it's not realistic. We really need to learn to juggle, right? Face the enemy. We're in a war. We need to okay. Try to block out distractions, right? Unnecessary. I'm very guilty at this. I look at my phone all the time, right? Someone texts me. If I don't text you back within an hour or two, or haven't given you the blue checks on my WhatsApp, right? As either I'm ignoring you, or it's an unusual day. But that's not such a, that, I don't know if that distraction needs to be there all the time. Maybe I should build into my schedule checking it less often, have times to check your phone, to check your emails, right? But then again, maybe, that's just the way we're living. It's not realistic to say, you know what, let's give up our phones, let's give up our internet, let's go back to a calm and enjoyable life. Not realistic. It's not where we live. So we need to learn just to juggle, to remember that we're juggling. And I like this one. Look ahead. Keep the whole pattern in mind, right? Try to remember, I live a frenetic life. I am. I'm living with, I'm juggling. I'm juggling a lot of balls. 3, 5, 7. I don't know if they go up that way. Don't know what's after 5. 9, 11. Think how many different things each of us do in the day that we need to do. Hundreds. We're probably juggling hundreds of balls. How many projects we have on at the moment, at any one time? How many things we need to take care of? Just your to-do list, if you would categorize it, never mind the items, but even the categories, there's so much to juggle. So that's what I think, is to try and, for menucha, in order to find inner peace, inner calm, to remember, Shabbos gets us in touch with our das, gets us in touch with the place where we are with ourselves, where we know ourselves clearly, and we have clarity of purpose. We know why we are living, right? To see everything in your life in that, with that clarity, to have that consciousness, to have that mindset, and then through the week, not to lose that, but to keep that and to start juggling. To keep that and to juggle everything that comes our way with that clarity, right? We're going to have to do a lot. We have to become proficient at juggling. We have to become proficient at juggling in order to have any chance that we could have that softened gaze at all the different things that are happening, but that absolute clarity, that absolute focus on why we are living and what we're living for and what's important and who we are. So that's my message for Midot of the Dibrot, Midas of the Dibros, of how to take Shabbos as a core value of Yiddishkeit and to try live with that throughout our life, every moment. Thanks for the applause, Adam. Okay, any
very good
questions, alternate speeches, comments?
And with
Very
that,
good.
I wish you a good Sabbath.
Didn't hear you?